Hey guys, what's going on? How's everybody doing? So I was reading an article on, I think it was the Hollywood Reporter, and then I read it in Men's Fitness as well. Uh, Actor Alan Richardson, who is killing it on as Reacher, Jack Reacher, he disclosed something that was really interesting to me. Is that he read for the role of Thor, and before it went to Chris Hemsworth. And when I read that, I was just like, he could have been Thor. Wow. So we could have got an actual 6'5" Thor. Let that sink in for a minute. I let that sink in for a lot, and I'm just like, yeah, we could have got an actual Thor around the right size of what he is in the comics. For anybody who doesn't, Alan Richardson is a big guy. He's a big guy. You forget just how big he is. But he talked about it he talked about it and said that he kind of didn't take it seriously and things like that. And I was just like, we could have gotten him. I just kept going back to, we could have gotten him as Thor. Now I've still said this, and I feel like, Mr. Richardson, I think he still can play some heroes in movies if he wanted to. And I still say, if James Gunn wants him for it, I would love to have him back as Aquaman. But when I thought about Marvel, I'm like, there's some Marvel characters I could have seen him playing. And that's what we're doing today. I'm giving you a list of certain characters that Mr. Alan Richardson could have played in Marvel. And let's kick this off, shall we? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your comments in the section down below as always. And let's do this. So number one, I'll just start it off with Thor. Let's start it off with Thor. The more I think about it, the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, I would have loved to seen him as Thor. God damn, I would have loved to seen him as Thor. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind and I don't hate Chris Hemsworth as the character, but I would have loved to seen him as Thor. I think he would have nailed it. Just the size and how big he gets, like I would have really been like very interesting to see him as Thor. I'm just saying that would have been phenomenal in my opinion. Number two on the list is Hercules, the Prince of Power, the demigod, son of Zeus. Now we did see Hercules in Thor. We saw him at the end when he was talking to Zeus. I'm forgetting the actor that played him in that, and I once again I gotta say, yeah, okay, but I'm just looking at, I'm like, it could have been Herc. I could have seen him as Herc as well. It would have been cool. So yeah, Hercules is another one on the list. Number three on the list. Here's a character we have not seen yet. But like I've always said, guys, I'm one of those guys that wants every character in the MCU as much as they can, and that character is Hyperion. Hyperion, I don't care which version they want to bring in, but if you want to go with a Superman-esque character for him, then yeah, Hyperion be another one that could work. I would prefer the more heroic version of Hyperion, the one that is kind of from an alternate world, instead of the one that was part of the Squadron Supreme and all that, because he kind of is like this, like all over the place. But yeah, Hyperion, definitely, I could have seen him. Number four, The Thing. Yeah, Ben Grimm. How cool it would have been if they announced Alan Richardson as Ben Grimm for the Fantastic Four. Now, I don't mind the actor that they got now, and even though he had to go and run his mouth and say, well, they're probably going to more CGI. My issue with what he said about what they're going to do with him and Thing is what he said about, well, you know, he kind of disrespected practical effects by saying it's too cosplay. Man, first of all, let me tell you something. I've seen cosplayers that do better jobs than what Hollywood has done. That's disrespectful. Relax with that. That wasn't called for. But yeah, I could have seen Alan as the ever-loving blue-eyed thing. It would have been cool, indeed. So yes, things up there. Number 5, Eddie Brock, aka Venom. Look, I'm not ashamed to say I don't like Tom Hardy as as Eddie Brock. I don't. I just don't. I don't like him. And for everybody who doesn't know, people think Eddie Brock, the Venom, the symbiote is what makes Eddie big. Eddie Brock is muscular Eddie Brock is buff without the Venom symbiote. It just makes him bigger. So yeah, I would have loved to seen him come on as Venom. In my opinion, is just a case of like, I could have seen that. You know, Alan Ritchson as Eddie Brock Venom. You know, I'm not a fan of Tom Hardy as the character. I love Tom Hardy as an actor, but I just don't feel him as Eddie Brock. I don't. Number 6, I'm just gonna throw this out here. I understand, but I get where people come from with this, and it's a character I do not fucking like, and it's Sentry. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Sentry. Okay, we're moving on. There you go. Yeah, I said what I need to say. I agree with a lot of people who fan cast the Sentry. There you go. But that's all you get. I'm not going into detail with that one. Number 7 on the list. If, let's say he didn't get Thor, I could see him coming back as another hammer-wielding, thunder-wielding character. And that's Eric Masterson, a.k.a. Thunderstrike. We haven't seen Thunderstrike yet. We haven't seen this character yet. I would love to see him. If Marvel wants to continue after Thor, and you know, when Hemsworth is done playing Thor, and they want to keep a hammer wielding, I say go with Thunderstrike and and Beta Ray Bill and all of them. So yeah, I could see him as Thunderstrike, Eric Masterson. And number 8 on the list. This may surprise a lot of you. No, it's not U.S. Agent. I've seen people fan cast him and have Mr. Richardson as John Walker. I've seen people say he could have been maybe Captain America, and I agree with that too. It would have been damn believable too as him as Captain America. But believe it or not, the character is Cyclops, Scott Summers. It is by far time when the X-Men make their way into the MCU that we get an actor that is more believable as Cyclops and doesn't look like a chump. No offense, but James Marsden's Cyclops to me was a chump. He was just a pushover. I'm sorry, he was. I think people forget also, like, Cyclops is fucking tall too, and I mean, if I remember, Cyclops was like 6'3". He's big. He's a tall dude. And imagine Alan Ritchson as Cyclops. It would really be more fitting for Wolverine to look up at him and things like that, and maybe be even taken more seriously. You know, I don't hate Cyclops. You know, I think there's a lot of people that don't hate him, but he's made some mistakes in the comics, and he's trying to make up for it. And it's really bad to see what he's going through now. But you know, he's kind of been pushed aside, and you know, people joke about him and make jokes. And I mean, hell, I used to even call him Dick Summers because he was a dick at certain points. But yeah, you know, I think Alan would be fine as Cyclops. Overall, those are just some characters from Marvel I could see him playing. But like I said, if he ever comes back to DC, get him back as Aquaman. I will take him as Aquaman in a heartbeat. Because he's played Aquaman before, but that was when he was a little bit smaller and a little bit not as massive as he is now. So yeah. But yeah, it's really interesting to see, that he was up for the role of Thor, and my mind just went into tailspin like, whoa, he could have been Thor. He could have been Thor. Like I said before, Chris Hemsworth wasn't my initial choice for Thor, but he has done a decent job for me to like. I just wish they depleted a little bit of the comedic stuff with him and feel more like the Thor that I've read in the comics for all the years. And I mean, you could have still had him be similar if you wanted to have him a little bit jokey. I mean, look at him in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. He joked a little bit, but he still had the sense of the God of Thunder. I'm just like, yeah, and things like that. But yeah. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you read the articles as well, what did you think of that? Hearing that Alan Ritchson was up for the role of Thor and he turned it down in a sense because he didn't take it seriously. Sometimes that's how it be. Some actors, we've heard many actors say they turn down roles and sometimes they kick themselves after a while. I've heard actors like Eddie Murphy say if he turned down Eddie Valiant from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and every time he watches it now, he says he kicks himself. So yeah, it comes to be like that sometimes. But you guys take care. I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.